Good morning. Welcome to our English class, grade 6 students. Today it's reading time. How are you feeling today? Before we start our lesson, it is a must that you have with you your reading street textbook, readers and writers notebook, English notebook to take down notes, and your pen. Thank you very much. Today we will learn about the following. 1. Build concepts on why trust is important. 2. Generalize using graphic organizer. 3. Predict and build background. 4. Define and unlock vocabulary words. Next, define folktale and its characteristics. And lastly, elements of literature using the selection Juan Verdades. Our main objectives for today are the following. 1. Share ideas about how trust is earned. 2. Define generalization as a skill. 3. Use prediction as background in understanding the selection. 4. Define and explain the characteristics of a folktale. 5. Provide information with regards to the elements of literature using the selection. Before we start our lesson today, let's try to ponder and reflect on the following questions. 1. Are you likely to trust a friend with a secret? Why or why not? Second question, who would you be likely to trust with the responsibility of taking care of your pets? Third, what characteristics would make a person worthy of your trust? And the fourth one, what word is a synonym for trust? Trusting someone means that you think they are reliable. You have confidence in them, and you feel safe with them physically and emotionally. Trust is something that two people in a relationship can build together when they decide to trust each other. How is trust built in a relationship? Always doing what you believe is right, even when others disagree, will lead others to respect your honesty. Interestingly, when building trust, you must be willing to upset others on occasion. People tend not to trust those who simply say whatever they think others want to hear. There is something very interesting, and I'd like to repeat that one. Interestingly, when building trust, you must be willing to upset others on occasion. People tend not to trust those who simply say whatever they think others want to hear. Next question there, which is very interesting as well, is how is trust earned? Trust is a verb means to believe. If you believe in something or someone, then you have confidence in them. To gain trust, we must be believable so that another will have confidence in our ability to keep our word, do our part, and follow through on expectation sets. There are plenty of vocabulary words, and I'd like to introduce the first set here, and let's read together. Hope, faith, confidence, expectation, assurance, certainty, certitude, and conviction. For our comprehension skill, we will be having generalize or generalization. It's a broad statement or rule that applies to many examples. Sometimes when you read, you can generalize. When you are given ideas about several things or people, and you can make a statement that applies to all of them, you are generalizing. Valid generalizations are supported by examples, facts, or good logic. On the other hand, invalid generalizations are not supported by examples, not supported by facts, not supported by good logic. Looking at the example here in supporting or making generalizations as well as supporting the generalization statement, we have here big dogs sleep a lot. That's the general statement. Below are the three supporting statements. 1. King's 2 Irish settlers sleep most of the day. 2nd, the greyhound at the end of the street is always asleep in the yard. And the 3rd one, when I sat on our couch, my Labrador Smokey always falls asleep next to me. Next. What is a folk tale? The word folk comes from a German word meaning people. Folk tales are stories of the common people. For generations, most folk tales were told aloud before anyone wrote them down. This is why each version of a folk tale is slightly different from all the other versions. Why is that so? Because it's a folk tale. It's the stories of common people from generations to generation, handed from one to the other. That makes the story different or slightly different from the other versions. Another thing about folktale is it teaches a lesson about how to behave. It also contains simple characters who stand for basic human qualities such as honesty or greed. It often includes events that happen in trees. These are additional vocabulary that we need to define and unlock its meaning. Read with me. Confidently, dismounted, flourish, distressed, fulfill, repay, vigorously, anxiously, magnificent, insisted, declared, gloated. Let's pause this video or this slide, and I want you to read and repeat reading until such time that you master reading the words. I'm going to give you a minute. Now it's time to define the vocabulary words. First word there is confidently. When you do something confidently, you are sure about what you are doing. That is confidently. As you notice about the slides on every vocabulary words, there are some questions which are related to the main selection. So I'd like you to read them quietly, reflect on them, use them as your guiding springboard as you read later on the main selection. We proceed with the next word, please. Second word is called dismounted. Dismounted. It's a verb meaning got off something such as horse or a bicycle. It's dismounted. Dismounted. Next word, please. Flourish. Flourish. It's a verb. It means to grow or develop well or thrive. That's flourish. Next word, please. Distressed. Someone who is distressed feels very sad and helpless. I repeat the meaning. Someone who is distressed feels very sad and helpless. Why was Juan Verdades distressed after he picked the apples? Let's try to find out later on. Vocabulary word is distressed. Next, please. It's fulfill. It's a verb, meaning to say, to perform or carry out a duty or command. Fulfill means to perform or carry out a duty or command. Next word is repay. It's another verb. It means to do or give something in return for something received. That's repay. Oh, I love the next word. It's called vigorously. It's an adverb meaning strongly or actively or energetically. Like you, when you play football, you are so vigorous, you're so active and energetic. That's vigorously. Anxiously is our next vocabulary word. If you waited anxiously for something, you worried about how it would turn out. I repeat, anxiously. If you waited anxiously for something, you worried about how it would turn out. That's anxiously. The next word is magnificent. Why was Don Ignatius apple tree, should I say, so magnificent? So what do we mean by the word magnificent? Something magnificent is very beautiful and impressive. Maybe a landscape, maybe an amazing building, or maybe a beautiful view. That's something really magnificent or amazing. Insisted is our next vocabulary. If you insisted on something, you said it very firmly and you refuse to change your mind. Insisted. Declared is our next vocabulary. Something that has been declared has been announced in a clear way. Declared. Something that has been declared has been announced in a clear way. Our next word is gloated. When we say gloated, if someone gloated, he or she bragged about something in a mean way. Look at the question below. What made Don Arturo gloat? Let's try to find out when we read the main selection. That ends our vocabulary, my dear students. Before we proceed to the main selection, I'd like you to reflect and ponder on the big question posted on top of this slide. How do we demonstrate trustworthiness? Our main selection is Juan Verdades, the man who couldn't tell a lie, retold by Joe Hayes, and it is a folktale. A while ago, we already defined what folktale means as well as its characteristics. Look at this slide. There is a small icon. Click the icon. Listen to the audio text of this story. I'm going to pause, or you need to pause this video or slide until such time that you finish listening to the story. Make sure to take notes on the main ideas, the supporting details, the settings, the characters, and the plot. Great! I hope that you understood the whole story. Moreover, for those students who still need to read the story, I'd like to redirect your attention to reading the story from your main textbook. Okay? Now, let's try to go to the critical questions. 1. First question is, why do you think Juan Verdades begins to fall in love with Araceli? Very simple answer. She is bright and lively. She gets up early every morning to make coffee and fresh tortillas for him. Who would not love fresh coffee and tortillas? And she acts sweetly and treats him well. That could be the possible answer. Second question, why is Don Arturo gleeful as he runs to tell Don Ignacio about the apples? First, Don Arturo is happy that his daughter figured out a way to get Juan Verdades to do something he knew he shouldn't have done. Also, he expects that Juan Verdades will lie about what he did. He also expects that he will get Don Ignacio's rancho. What generalization can you make about Juan based on his or her conversation with Don Ignacio? Very simple answer here. He is kind, polite, and noble. There's no other answer for that except that one sentence. We go to the next question, please. Why do you think the author includes so many Spanish words and phrases in the dialogue? I believe you noticed that there were plenty. So the question is, what effect do they have on you as a reader? The author probably wanted to add realism and to give the feeling of a tale that people have told aloud for so many generations. The Spanish words and phrases help to create the setting of a Hispanic ranch. How do you know that Don Ignacio's generalization, "he has never told me a lie," is valid? Possible answer? Don Ignacio would know if one had ever lied to him because they work together every day and they live on the same ranch. So, considering these two facts, that they're working together on a daily basis and they're living on the same ranch, so more or less, they knew the characters of each other. That makes it valid. Now, let's try to go to the summary of the selection. I place only one sentence summary here. You might have other summary that you want to include, but more or less it would go on the same idea, just like this. A wealthy rancher is so certain of the honesty of his foreman that he wagers his ranch. Who are the characters? The main characters are Juan Verdades, the foreman of the ranch, Araceli, the daughter of Don Arturo, the wealthy rancher, and the future wife of Juan Verdades, and Don Ignacio is another wealthy rancher. Even though these characters are 1 to 2-dimensional, they all have depth and personality. One is a loving, caring individual with morals. Araceli, on the other hand, turns out to be a warm and helpful woman, but she started out with the motive to help her dad, not fall in love with Juan. And the two wealthy ranchers are friendly and, of course, hardworking. Where this story happened? Well, the story never tells the reader when and where the story takes place. But it is very obvious from the illustrations. It is either somewhere in Mexico or very close by, like New Mexico or somewhere in the southwest. The time is not important in this story because, well, this is a folk tale. It could happen anytime, anywhere, and to anybody. Looking at the houses, they were adobe-like, and the characters live on ranches. There is one illustration with the mountains that look like the mesas in New Mexico. Interestingly, here's the plot. One of the wealthy ranchers is very proud of his foreman and says he cannot tell a lie. The other rancher makes a bet with him that he can get the foreman to lie. Now, what's the consequences if he lies? The rancher gets the other ranch in return. Juan Verdades is tested by the rancher and his daughter, and in the meantime, well, this is a bit conflict. Time or love is in the air. Juan and Araceli, the daughter, fall in love. In the end, the rancher realizes he was a wonderful and trustworthy foreman, and he's happy that the ranch stays in the family, and his daughter is also happy with Juan. I placed two themes with regards to the selection. Maybe you have other suggestions or maybe you have other ideas. We can consider them. But first one here is honesty does pay off. Being honest always, makes you a credible person. Everybody would love you, would like you, and would even adore you if you're always honest. And the second one is goodness is always rewarded. There's no doubt and there's no question about this one. Goodness is always rewarded. Well, grade 6 students, I'm happy that I hope you learned something from our lesson today. Before we end our discussion and our session today, I'd like to draw your attention on the following. One, if you still need to read the main selection, you may use the text from your textbook, or you can listen to the audio text. Number two, please log into your Pearson account. There are additional homeworks, activities, and lessons, as well as discussions that will help you improve and that will help you learn more. So that's it for today, grade 6 students. Have a nice day and thank you very much. Hope to see you again on our next session. Goodbye.